Our next guest needs no introduction. Ebbe Altberg, who is the CEO of Linden Lab, has been gracious enough to make an appearance at VWBPE for the last 2 years. Since he took the helm at Linden Lab, he has been very generous with his time, meeting with in-world communities and even having a regular fireside chat. During this session, Ebbe will do what he does best, spend most of his time responding to the community's questions. Phelan and I will help moderate to try and capture all your questions so that Ebbe may respond to as many as he can in the time that he has. Please post your questions in local chat or send them through instant message to either me or Phelan. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our very great pleasure to introduce to you Ebbe Altberg to VWBPE 2016.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. All right. Thank you for that. Great to be here again. It's an awesome event. I hope you all have had great sessions and more sessions to come. I will just spend a little bit of time and just talk about what I am and what we here at Linden Lab are really excited about and what we're working on a little bit. And then, as usual, very happy to spend most of the time actually talking to you with regards to your questions or that you may have. So, first of all, wow, what an incredible year it's been. The virtual reality market that we've been sort of waiting for is actually in the process of happening. So we're now seeing incredible investments from a very large number of companies, whether it's hardware, software, platforms, tools, that I'm sure many of you are very excited to get your hands on very soon. We in the lab have been playing a lot with the latest hardware that are going to hit the consumer market soon over the next few months, and doing a lot of work to integrate those into Project Sansar. But there's also work to get some integration of that into Second Life. So we feel very fortunate to be having all this incredible experience together with you all of running Second Life, having the opportunity to see what works and what doesn't work, and what works really well and what is not working at all, and how what it takes to run a platform like Second Life, what makes creators successful, what makes business successful, because our primary goal here is to make creators of experiences as successful as they can possibly be, and share in their success. Second Life has made a lot of good strides over the last year, since we last met. Performance is continually improving, and we have some more performance improvements in the pipeline to come out soon. Quality is improving, stability is improving, and we've also managed to roll out some nice improvements, new avatars, and we're working on. Do you have the new, better web control or media on prim? That's now a really modern browser technology, which hopefully will be really helpful to educators. We also have a lot of interesting things coming in the pipeline. Improved registration API, so that will be easier for institutions to bring on their customers or clients or students in a more pre-configured way. Choosing what avatars they can select from, and getting them set up in the proper groups, and taking them through a whole custom onboarding experience. We I've also done a huge amount of work in what's seems boring but very, very important to us, and even though you might not realize it, very important to you all as well, which is around compliance and making sure that um, all things we do fiscally within the Second Life virtual economy, and what it takes for people to redeem to fiat currency, US dollars, or whichever currency you prefer around the world. We're doing a huge amount of work to improve all the tools and fraud controls, etc., to make sure that we're running a clean, tight ship where there is no money laundering or anything of that sort. We've gone far enough that we soon will be able to improve the time it takes for people to redeem money, so that we can do that in hopefully just a day or two for most people. We blogged about that, so you might already know about that. So I feel really good about the Second Life team. Just a few weeks ago, we had the whole team together in Seattle. We keep switching spots. Sometimes we do it in Boston, and this time we did it near the offices in Seattle. And it's a very tight group. They are very passionate about Second Life, with Oz heading up on the engineering side, and just a great, really tight crew who really just want absolutely the absolute best for Second Life and for you all. So I feel very good with what that team has been able to do over the last year and what they'll be able to do in the coming years. Some cool things coming in addition to the registration API. We have a way for institutions that have had interruptions of viewer updates when it wasn't something they were completely prepared for, can now sign up for being on an EDU channel where we can better manage viewer updates. We're working on an update to get current Oculus viewer working with Second Life, and we're also working on this quick graphics viewer so that you can manage when people show up in your regions with way too much clothing or too heavy of an avatar, and sort of still get good frame rate within your regions if they're avatars that are too heavy. Those will all roll out over the next weeks and months. Let's see, Project Sansar. I'm sure there will be lots of questions on Project Sansar. We're now slightly over 2 years in working on Project Sansar. We've been in production environment since around August with just a handful of users. It's still a very complicated process to create content, but that will be radically simplified very soon, where today you're dependent on using Maya as an authoring tool for Sansar, but that will be no longer the case come June or so, when we will open up beta access to a broader set of creators. We're very much focused on creators right now for the rest of the year, and are most interested in creators that have fairly advanced skills in creating substantial experiences on the platform. And so sometime in May or June, we will start accepting applications for people that want to get on Sansar as a platform and start working with it. We are aiming to be general available for everybody by the end of the year, which we're running like crazy here to make that in time, and then it's free for all of you to come on board and start creating and socializing within Sansar. I do want to tell you, though, that Sansar will be nowhere near as feature-rich as Second Life is. So a lot of things that you depend on to in Second Life to get the experiences and the businesses and the scenarios that you're solving for, that you come to expect in Second Life. A lot of those things will not be available right at the beginning in Sansar. Yes, you can create things in Sansar that is prettier and faster, and also very much performant in VR. And they will have some nice new features that you don't have in Second Life for sort of physics and lighting and avatar movements and all of the likes. But to create a highly functional education scenario might not be ready yet because of missing tools or capabilities. So it's going to be a time before you can just assume that you can just, be able to do in Sansar what you're able to do in Second Life today. Again, just to reiterate, Second Life and Sansar are two separate products that will continue on, and separate teams that are working on these products will keep improving things. So there's no path to migrate you all or move you to Sansar. You get to choose where you want to spend your time, and for years and years to come, they will remain different products. We can't even look out far enough into the future to guess what will happen. So we're just going to focus on making both products as good as we can possibly make them, and then let you all choose where you want to spend your time and energy. Yeah, what else can I tell you?
We have some questions already for you, Ebbe, if you would like to take them.
Yeah, I'm happy to just stop with my general comments right here and just start taking comments or questions.
Yes, we have a few. I'll ask the first one. Could you elaborate on the progress and future of the Community Gateway program and standards?
Yeah, so the Community Gateway program is very much proceeding. I don't have a final ship date for it. It goes very much hand in hand with the registration API work we have to do. We have to spend some more time on that than we originally thought, again, for compliance, because who can collect what information in what context is something we had to solve for. But the Community Gateway program is very much progressing well. I would expect, and I know there's already people that have some beta access to it, and we are taking applications or signing contracts, if you will, simple contracts, just to get more and more people onto the program. And again, it's going to give you a lot of control over how to bring users onto the platform and customize the onboarding experience for those users. And it's going to be, a lot of control you will have in how that onboarding experience takes place. So it's right around the corner. What else?
Okay, we have, let me see, another question here. It says, it was announced that quicker cash outs are going to be possible soon, and that the more Linden Lab knows you can receive money sooner. What can I, as a creator, do to let Linden Lab know me better? Anything more than the tax info I have filled out in previous cash outs?
Well, if we have your basically know your identity, and we have documentation about your identity, then it's we have a more trusted relationship. Then you'll be more on the fast path. If you've already reached a certain amount that you've had to sort of provide us all that personal information already, then you're probably already instantly going to be on the fast path of that. I believe we're going to go live with these changes early April. And so we already blogged to give you all a heads up because there's some fee changes associated with that rollout. But the vast majority of you should be able to get through faster in just a day or two. And then for people that we don't have appropriate information, depending on, and I can't, give all the details because some of this has to do with how we collect information to make sure that we know who you are, and not to be snooping or anything, but we have to know who we are sending money to. And at certain amounts, we have to know even more about you in order to do it with full compliance. But so there's no significant tricks to it. Really, if at some point you have to give us your proper identity, then you should be able to get paid quickly.
I've got one here where somebody is asking, is Sansar going to support Steam VR?
Steam VR. We are right now actually making integration with the Vive, which is the, I don't call it Steam VR, but it's the hardware and software that's done in collaboration between Valve, that runs Steam, and HTC. And from my understanding, Sansar is rendering just fine right now, and there's some few bugs before I can get to hop into Sansar inside of the Vive myself, but it's right around the corner. And we're working very well with the Oculus hardware, and I'm guessing that next week I'll be able to hop into Sansar using the Vive as well. So we're playing with Oculus, we're playing with Vive, we're playing with both of their hand controllers to, so we'll have full support for both of those. How much of an integration this ends up having with Steam, that's a whole other ball of wax that I don't know what that would look like.
Okay, another question here. Someone is asking, one of the primary concerns from teachers is online security. What is SL doing to address these issues?
What was that? Online what?
Security.
Oh, security. Well, security is a very broad topic, so I'm not sure what specific security the concern would be around. Is this safety for students? Is this safety of data on the platform? Is this safety around credit cards? I don't know. I mean, we're obviously working very hard to make sure that the platform is very secure, that all data is secure, and this is just part of what we have to be absolute world-class at, to be fully compliant with regards to the amount of money and user data that we're handling. So a security question would have to be more specific, but I don't know of any security issues. So if you know of any or can think of any, please let me know more specifically, but this might not be the forum to talk about those, depending on what that might be.
Okay, I have another question here regarding Project Sansar. In Project Sansar, will creators be allowed to create skill games around the existing Second Life skill gaming policy? And if so, will the approved skill game creators in Second Life be automatically approved to create skill games in Project Sansar?
That's an interesting question at an education conference. From the beginning, there would be absolutely no way to do a skill-based game in Sansar the way you think of it in Second Life. I mean, there's a lot of functionality, object pay, and a number of things that skill-based game are taking for that exist in Second Life. And so when we start end of this year, early next year, I would not expect the platform to be mature enough to make it possible to create those kinds of things. And whether we want to support skill-based gaming at all in Sansar, has yet to be determined. I mean, it's a fairly complex thing to operate, fairly costly to operate. There's just so many laws and regulations and a lot of oversight we have to do. And we know that it's an interesting business for obviously a lot of creators and operators, as well as creates a lot of engagement amongst our users because they love playing those games. But we're going to focus more on doing what we can with that within Second Life and continue to see if we can make it easier and better and still compliant within Second Life before we decide whether we're going to make that possible to do in Sansar as well. So I think it's just too early. The platform is not at the level of getting to that level of detail as far as a use case.
I also have a follow-up. Somebody wants to know how they get invited to Sansar.
Sorry, what was that?
I guess what they're asking is how they can be a part of the alpha or the beta testing. How do they get invited to Sansar?
So right now we're only doing it by invitation only because have very few, and we can we handpick certain companies or individuals that we know have the skills that we just sort of know about. Again, around May or June or so, we will provide a way for people to sign up online somewhere on our website to let people sort of request entry, if you will, and then depending on skills and the projects you have in mind, we will select people to come on board. I mean, we very much want to focus on people that can devote time and effort in helping us make the product better. People are just interested in snooping around is not necessarily the people we're looking at from the beginning. So people that are skilled and have experience and have time to devote to provide us with a lot of feedback, and so we'll get into the hundreds of people around June that can get on the platform, and then we'll continue to add additional users every month throughout the rest of the year, and hoping by the end of the year we'll have many hundreds of creators. Again, creators that are willing to create and work with us and provide feedback, even though they're not going to be able to necessarily expose their experiences to any users other than other beta users for the rest of this year. And then it will be available for everybody. So May, June, you can start to apply, if you will.
Okay, another Project Sansar question. Somebody wants to know what age range will Sansar be open to? Will it be a 13 plus, 16, 18? This will impact the level of educational use at the secondary school level.
Yeah, I think we're starting with 13 plus as the goal, and trying to force ourselves to make that possible. And we're also thinking about Sansar a bit differently from Second Life in what content is accessible, and the fact that you can create an experience and more easily attract users, your students, for example, directly into that one experience without necessarily making it obvious of everything else that's available, although people will be able to move from one experience to the next, obviously, just like with destination guides and stuff. But we will very much think about content ratings and so that we can make it safe and fun for 13 and up. That's where we're starting from. Again, things are early. Things may change as we move forward, and I can't guarantee that that's something we'll offer on day one. But we want to solve this problem, or this, I don't know, call it a problem. We want to solve Sansar in such a way that it can be 13 plus. That's our goal. Any other questions?
Okay, I have another question here. Let me read that. Basically, it says, will an education and nonprofit portal be added to the new user experiences to encourage more professionals and students to discover our work and communities in Second Life?
In Second Life. Well, so we're doing things to provide gateways so that more specific, vertically optimized onboarding experiences for a number of subject matter could be done, including education. It would be more a question for Pete if there would be more exposure on things like destination guides and sort of those ways for education. But once we get some of the community gateways going, we might even do some community gateways ourselves that are more vertically specific and make it more obvious to educators how to get on the platform, how to discover educationally relevant content, et cetera. And that's something we would like to do for a number of different verticals. It just remains to be seen which of those gateways we might operate versus which ones are better managed by in-world groups or teams or companies to do.
Okay, there's another question on educational community. How much support does Linden Lab give the educational community in Second Life, given when Sansar is launched? There is the question on how much of an exodus to that platform might occur, and thus leaving the colleges and universities with no choice but to close their SIMs.
Well, I don't know how many colleges are dependent on arbitrary sort of traffic from the outside world versus how much they are using their SIM for themselves and their own audience and their own students. So clearly, if you have your own audience and your own students that are using the product, then you can just keep going and going and going. If you are dependent on traffic from Second Life in general, then, I mean, over time, maybe a bunch of people will decide to spend time in Sansar. But I don't know how quickly that transition will happen. I think a lot of people will come over really quickly and have a look around, and then a lot of them are going to realize, like, "Ooh, I can't do what I thought I could do," so they're going to go back to Second Life. And we're going to run these products independently, just like any other company that runs multiple products. We're going to have a team that's going to be fully dedicated and focused on making Second Life as successful as it can possibly be, and continue to do everything we can to keep it healthy and, if anything, help make it grow. And then some users will prefer to spend their time in Sansar. It's really going to be up to you where you spend your time. But I can't really predict how quickly what users might choose to start using Sansar instead of Second Life. It really depends on what your preferences are. Again, the two products are not going to be the same. There's going to be a lot of things you can do in Second Life that you can't do in Sansar, and probably some things, the other way around. Just like other companies have multiple products in the same category that, sometimes look competitive, but they also end up targeting slightly different use cases and different audiences for different reasons. So I would expect Second Life and Sansar to both be side by side in a successfully for many, many years. And then it's too far out into the future to start speculating what might happen if this or that thing happens. So our goal right now is to just run two very successful products. Any other questions?
My apologies, I was on mute. We got a couple of questions here on age range, and a couple of age-related questions, both for Sansar and for Second Life. On the topic of age range, what sort of stance might Linden Lab take on any possible adult-oriented experiences that might pop up in Sansar? And will there be similar ratings like SL has to address such things here?
Yeah, there'll probably be, I don't know if it's completely finalized yet. There will be content ratings. How much effort, certainly in the beginning, I don't think we'll spend a lot of effort to specifically target adult use cases. But there's also, generically, at some point, the platform will be, flexible enough that users can create things that would meet their needs with regards to adult content. And certainly people will create content that doesn't have a lot of technical dependencies that will clearly still be seen as adult content, and that will be, classified as adult content. So it's not that we will not allow or support adult content, but we also might not focus specifically on making adult, whatever features might be unique or specific to adult. It's not something we'll focus on early on. But again, we have no plans to disallow that content. So,
one of the other questions that was also asked was, are there any plans to make modifications to the current rating system with inside Second Life? The one person was citing the concept that 17-year-olds can go to an R-rated movie. Why can't they go to a moderated sim in Second Life here?
I don't know why that decision was made, why 17 is what's required for mature. I would have to ask. I don't know. Maybe Pete can text me something here in Slack to let me know if we know. But I haven't heard of any conversation that would suggest that we are going to change what we currently have with regards to that. I haven't seen any internal conversation or anything on the roadmap that would change what we currently have. So that would be something, if people think we're doing something suboptimal or not the right way, then it would be great to hear about that and see if we should make some changes. It just hasn't come up.
Okay, there's another question here. Basically, will Sansar be available in tablets when it's launched, in the long term?
So right now we are building Sansar for PC, Windows specifically, and Oculus, and like I said, any day now, also for the Vive HMD. We are compiling our application or our whole stack to also for Android and iOS to keep ourselves honest, and we actually have at least one person working full time on making sure that we will be able to deliver mobile versions of Sansar. The goal is for us, and I don't know how far we'll get with a native client for iOS and Android by the end of the year, but we should be getting close. We do have a streaming solution of Sansar, which some of you have seen in the past with regards to Second Life from third parties, but we do have a streaming solution so that using cloud GPUs, we can stream a fully all of Sansar to an iPhone. I mean, that's something I see demoed every day. That would then have to come with a slightly different business model because you can't do streaming off of cloud GPUs in a free-to-play model. But so we will have PC. At somewhere along the line, we're going to have to figure out how to deliver for Mac, a Mac viewer for Mac OS. We will have support for Oculus. We will have support for the Vive. And we will have, maybe by the end of the year, iOS maybe Android, but that might slip into 17 a little bit. And we will also be able to do streaming, which will have to come with a slightly different business model that we haven't yet decided on. At what subscription level might you get sort of a streaming version? A streaming version will ultimately should be able to be even streamed just through whatever browser you have, or ultimately through thin clients for various mobile operating systems. So our goal is to be as cross-platform as we can possibly be, so that you never have to leave Sansar behind when you go on the road or wherever you might be. So that's the goal, and that's how we're behaving. It's just hard to say exactly when sort of a really stable mobile client will be available.
We've got a couple more questions related back to Sansar. Will Project Sansar share the Linden dollar with Second Life?
A lot of interesting conversations around that topic as well. Currently, the answer is probably no. Ideally, in some ways, the answer should be yes, but for various reasons, the answer will probably be no. So what we'll do then is most likely an exchange in between Sansar and Second Life, so that you could still take your Lindens and move it over to Sansar, and take your whatever Sansar will ultimately be called, whatever those monies over there might ultimately be called, over to Second Life, and sort of move back and forth. But there'll probably be an exchange in between, because we'll have quite different business models between the two, and we don't want to have the situation where someone can make money on one side and then redeem on the other side and start sort of circumventing sort of our business model in awkward ways. So it'll probably be another system than the Linden dollar, but probably similar in other ways. It hopefully doesn't matter too much, because you should be able to transfer from one to the other and take your earnings from one side and using an exchange, bring it over to the other side and spend it on the other side, and vice versa.
Right. We've also got, and this is probably sort of like the $1 million question, how does one get an invite to Sansar?
Again, that will be available on our website for people to sign up for Sansar somewhere in the May-June timeframe. And then people can apply. We'll ask for some information on what you're trying to accomplish, and then we'll start to pick people that have the right skills and the right motivations to come on throughout the rest of the fall. We'll keep adding people, more so starting around June. Through the end of the year, until it will be available to everybody.
I have another question here. Are there any plans to incorporate any technology developed for Sansar back into Second Life once that technology is mature?
Well, it's probably going to be difficult. I mean, it's probably more about learnings than technologies, because the technologies are quite substantially different, that you couldn't just sort of airlift something from work we're doing in Sansar or in Second Life for that matter, and sort of just throw it over to the other side and have things work. The technologies, the code bases, very, very different. So I think it would be very difficult for us to sort of share significant technology between the two.
So does that mean that Sansar is only going to work with mesh, or will there be similar type of building tools to what we have here?
So over time, there will be lots of different building tools. We do want to support very strongly third-party tools. We don't want to try and become something, a superset of all modeling tools in the world. So people that want to create mesh in Maya or Blender or SketchUp or whatever, we want to support common file formats so that people can just bring that content in from those third-party tools. We will also have tools inside of Sansar, obviously. Ultimately, you will be able to have some terrain tools. You will have layout tools. Right now, we're focusing more on layouts and basic object manipulation tools so that you can take a lot of assets and arrange a scene within Sansar. Then over time, we'll start thinking more and more about tools that allow you to create, call it original content from the ground up within Sansar, and whether those will be, probably a variety of different tools will expose over time, and whether we have some notion of basic prims you can drop in and start playing with, or if it will be some voxel editing tools or sculpting tools, or we'll have to see over time. Right now, we're mostly focused on making sure that we get whole back end done right to do authoring right with the ability to make sure we can be backwards compatible over time. Performance and layout so that you can easily arrange scenes and sort of customize to create scenes. So it'll probably be for quite a while in Sansar sort of a reliance on third-party tools to create a lot of the original assets that you then bring into Sansar to arrange in a scene within Sansar, and then we'll start to tackling more of the tools for creating original content over time.
Right. We seem to be getting a lot of questions which are getting more and more technical as we're, questions are coming in with regards to Sansar. I think maybe I can boil a lot of these things down to at what point are people really going to be able to get an opportunity to sort of see a demo of the tools? We've got a lot of questions here which are sort of focused on things like, what is the real-time rendering engine going to look like? What are the limitations of tools? Are there going to be any marketplace restrictions? These all seem to be leading towards the idea that people would really, really like to see this stuff, but nobody has any idea in terms of, okay, what are we? When do I get to play with the toys? What do the toys look like?
Yeah, and I'm many times in the same situation myself, because right now, the in-house art and design team we have, they create all the Sansar experiences that I'm currently playing with in Maya completely. The entire scene's created in Maya and then exported and uploaded to the Sansar cloud. And then I go to the demo room where we have all the nifty new hardware, and I hop into these scenes, and I have social experiences within those scenes with people. These scenes are evolving over time so that they get more and more interesting. We're trying to figure out what types of experiences to play with. It's mostly like for testing purposes to make sure that we're building the right runtime, and so testing physics and lighting and systems like that. Some basic scripting is starting to fall into place as well, so that you can create more interactive things. I was just in a scene today where we had 360 videos all around me playing. So it's getting, the content's getting more interesting by the day, but the actual creation process is still sort of very much under construction. I've seen videos or demos of people using VR hand controllers to actually rearrange objects within the editor in Sansar. So I can just grab a couch and just move it to the other side, all in VR with hand controllers without, so you're in the space that you're creating, which is going to be really cool. You may have seen some demos of that from Unity and Unreal as well. So we'll support the capability of authoring inside of VR. But there's still lots to be done there. There's just a tremendous amount of plumbing to make sure that you can do highly performant content with. So the UI for authoring is nowhere near done yet, and a lot of the tools are not completely done yet. But every day I see like, okay, now we have like unlimited undo starting to work, and now we have the ability to set these properties on objects kind of working, and okay, now I can, it's evolving, but it's going to go faster and faster now because for the last couple of years we've spent a tremendous amount of what I call plumbing and low-level systems to make sure that we can then build highly scalable, performant authoring tools and runtimes on top of all that plumbing. What do scenes look like? Well, we've released some screenshots that you can see on lindenlab.com that can give you a little bit of a sense of the sort of graphic fidelity you can get out of it. Those are still just still pictures, but it give you a little bit of sense of how shiny things might get. And then it's just an other thing when you start to see it in motion of the smoothness of graphics and physics, and also just lighting. Just because we are taking one big difference that people should be aware of maybe is that in Second Life, editing and runtime is sort of one and the same thing. In Sansar, runtime and authoring are very two distinct modes. You go and you author, and then you publish. And in that publishing step, there will be, depending on what quality settings you will, it could be a fairly extensive sort of baking process, as it's called, to optimize for lighting, to optimize for spatial audio, for optimize for content performance, and then boom, you get this runtime version of the environment spat out that you can then hop in and socialize within. And so it's a different, but that's something that's just required if you want to get the fidelity we're aiming for and the performance at the same time. So it'll be a bit different. It won't be as much as walking down the street in Second Life and watching someone build a house down on the road, and then you walk a little further and see someone build something over there, because that editing inside the runtime environment comes with a lot of performance penalties. So can't afford that when you're trying to do VR.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a riffing on Sansar.
Okay. I'd like to move off Sansar for a moment if we could, although we've got tons more Sansar questions that are coming in. There was a question asked quite a bit earlier. I want to come back to this. There's been some controversy lately over creators being banned from their accounts without being told what they did in terms of the violation of the community practice guidelines. Do you have any comment about the process for reviewing and communicating potential violations?
Yeah. So we every now and then we'll dip in and see what people are doing, and every now and then we find that people have crossed the line for what is appropriate content, and sometimes that's a warning, and sometimes that's just outrage, just so far across the line for what is appropriate content that we just we have to ban people. Sometimes we make mistakes. Maybe there should have been a warning, and once you sort of talk to that person, but someone here has to make a decision, and we'll get better and better at making sure we make the right decision. But things we then run into is people will say, well, but this person is super nice. All the friends will say this person is really nice. And we're like, well, you don't necessarily know what that person did or what content they put on our servers or what activities they took part in. And I don't also want to speak publicly about what these people did or did not do, or what type of content they shared. I mean, this is sometimes illegal stuff, and it's not really for me to speak publicly about what these people did. And obviously, you will oftentimes have people who got banned that will tell you that they didn't do anything wrong. We didn't give them the information. We didn't, and so you kind of get into these he said, she said, where we can't really speak publicly about what actually took place because that's just not appropriate and sometimes not secure or sometimes not legally appropriate or what have you. So sometimes we end up being berated for having done something wrong to someone when we really did not. Trust me. We don't take it lightly. We haven't really changed our guidelines. We haven't suddenly decided to go on some sort of crusade against certain types of content. No, this is really just about actually following our own community guidelines and terms of service that we've always had. And sometimes some of that content just flies under a radar for long enough that by the time we notice it, it might seem like people thought it was okay because we didn't, jump on it the second it appeared. It can sometimes, there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's impossible for us to inspect everything at all times. So sometimes there might be a lag between what someone has done and us discovering what they've done. I guess that's what I have to say on that. And we have to respect people's privacy. We can't publicly shame someone with what they did. So it's impossible for the community at large to expect us to sort of clearly, express every decision we made. That's just not possible for our own sake and also for the users that end up in these situations for their sake as well. So follow the community guidelines. Sometimes if it's really, really on the edge as to whether something is defined as sexually explicit or not, people will obviously have different subjective opinions on that. And if we think that it's really difficult for someone to understand where that line goes, then it should be, takedowns of content and warnings and help people understand where we believe that line is drawn. But sometimes, like I said, it's just that line is just crossed so far that, we have no choice but to take action on some of these people.
Okay. I think we're getting close to the top of the hour. I've got 2 more questions I think I'm going to ask here, and then I think we'll try to wrap it up. We're obviously getting a lot of questions with regards to technical aspects of Sansar, business aspects of Sansar. I'm hoping, and I'm hoping I'm not overstepping here. Is it possible that when we get closer to the beta launch that we can have yourself or get somebody from the Sansar team to come back and allow us to have maybe a 1-2 hour Geek Fest in terms of getting more details on the platform?
Absolutely. I think we're trying to lay out how much of this thing we reveal over what period of time. I mean, some of it is just, it's work in progress, and we're still looking for some answers to some areas, so we don't have 100% clarity on everything. For some things, it might just be, it might be other reasons too why we don't fully reveal everything we're up to. But
I don't want to give everything away to the competition, right? So.
That too. I mean, if we were a startup and we didn't have Second Life, we'd probably be more transparent, maybe. We also have to sort of manage, because sometimes we show something that's a work in progress, and it creates all kinds of waves and confusion, and then we have to manage the confusion, and it's like it wasn't even... So people can sometimes jump to conclusions based on what they see or whatever. So we're just trying to manage that so that it's not too much crazy speculation based on things we show. So that's also part of it. But around June, between now and June, we will start to reveal more. Like, for example, we have yet to show Sansar in action to any press. So you're not, missing something that a bunch of other people are getting. We're basically only showing it to ourselves and maybe some potential strategic partners that we're talking to. Other than that, we're not really showing it to anyone yet. But around June, we'll probably show obviously more pictures and maybe a little bit more of the specifications of the product, and maybe a little more of videos that show things. But it's probably not in advance of June. And so when that beta starts to grow, we'll talk more about what it can and cannot do, because that will also help inform people that whether it's worth their time to hop on a beta or not. We don't want beta people just because they want to go snoop around and look and find out what it is. We want people that understand what it is and commit their time and energy to do work on the platform. Those are the only people that we're interested in at this point. And then come fall, we'll reach a point in sometime in Q3 where we can start to really reveal more about what it is, and then we'll just continue to sort of reveal more and more and more until you can all come and see it in its full, V1, if you want to even call it V1, sort of by the end of the year.
Excellent. Okay. Last question, and then we'll wrap it up here. You've been here now for just over 700 days. We got a couple of people wondering, when are you going to update your avatar?
Well, this one is one of the new default avatars. So it's new, but it's default. When will I take the time to sort of really make my own avatar? I don't know. I'm more interested in I've tried a few times to make my own avatar. People have made me specific items and stuff, but I don't know. I've been so busy that sort of really getting into totally decking out my own avatar has just not made it to the top of the list, nor making bears for people. So, and I'm fine with this default avatar too. It looks pretty good to me. But maybe someday I'll get time to dive in and customize it a bit more.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Ebbe, I'd like to thank you very much for taking time to come here and speak with everybody.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything you guys do, the people who are running this conference and all the participants. And we'll have more conversations and enjoy Second Life. It's the best virtual world on the planet, and it will take a long time for anything to get any better than Second Life, including Sansar. So, keep giving us feedback, keep giving us comments, keep giving us ideas. We have teams here hard at work to make Second Life better and better and better. And the more feedback we get, the easier it gets to make the right decisions. So thank you all, and I hope to see you all soon, very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.